If you love novels but don't have much time on your hands, worry not. In just a few minutes, I'll walk you through the entire 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. The story starts with rumors about a giant sea monster, which has got everyone talking. Professor Aronnax, a French marine biologist, joins an expedition to find this monster, along with his loyal servant, Conseil, and a rugged harpooner named Ned Land. Things take a wild turn when they actually encounter the creature, which is surely not what you think it is. They will travel across the underwater world, seeing wonders, fighting giant squids, and discovering sunken cities. It's not just an adventure. It's a journey that questions human exploration and its impact on nature. You'll be asking yourself, what secrets does the ocean hold, and how many incredible things will the crew experience? Let's explore it together in this video. So, the story starts like this. There's a huge sea monster causing a real stir all over the world. Ships are seeing this enormous creature, way bigger and faster than anything anyone has ever known. But not everyone convinced it's real. And there's a big debate going on about whether such a creature could even exist. Dr. Pierre Aronnax, a French marine biologist, is pretty sure it's the real deal. He's staking his whole reputation on it. The American government gets involved after a bunch of ships crash into what they think is the monster. They decide it's time to hunt it down. Captain Farragut is put in charge of this big expedition. Dr. Aronnax comes along with his servant Conseil, and they're joined by Ned Land, this awesome whale hunter from Canada. The hunt for this mysterious phantom of the sea kicks off with Captain Farragut offering a big reward to whoever spots it first. Everyone on board, including Dr. Aronnax, is super eager and keeps looking out for it. But Ned, he's not so sure. He's been at sea most of his life and isn't quite convinced this monster is real. They spend 3 whole months searching the Pacific Ocean, but all they find are regular whales. No sign of the monster. The crew's getting restless, almost ready to rebel, because Captain Farragut won't give up the hunt. Finally, he agrees to head home if they don't find anything in 3 days. So, will they ever find this mysterious sea monster? What's waiting for them in the vast unexplored ocean? Let's set sail with them and find out. After that, the crew's back at it, eyes peeled on the horizon, full of hope again. But guess what? It's Ned, the one who doubted the monster the worst, who spots it first during his night watch. This thing, it's glowing in the dark and starts heading straight for their ship, the Abraham Lincoln. The captain tries to steer clear of it in the night, but as soon as it's light, they're all in for the chase. But no matter how fast they go, this monster's always just a bit faster, always just out of reach. They try everything. Firing cannonballs, Ned even throws his harpoon, but nothing works. Everything just bounces off the monster like it's made of metal or something. The creature starts fighting back. It damages the ship, and Dr. Aronnax gets thrown overboard. Conseil, ever the loyal servant, jumps in after him. After hours in the water, they find Ned, who's climbed onto the back of the monster. Turns out, it's not a creature at all. It's a submarine. So now, they're captives. They try to get someone's attention inside the sub, and finally a hatch opens. A few guys come out, drag them inside the submarine, and lock them in a room. Time ticks by, and they're just stuck there. Ned's getting really mad. When his steward finally brings food, Ned loses it and goes after him, until the captain of the sub steps in and stops him. This captain, who calls himself Captain Nemo, tells them they've stumbled upon his biggest secret, his submarine, the Nautilus. Captain Nemo lays down the law. He can't let them go because they know too much. So they're prisoners now, but he's not going to kill them. They can roam around the Nautilus all they want, but they have to come back and get locked up whenever he says so. And they can forget about going back to land and their old lives. But there's a silver lining. Captain Nemo's going to show them the wonders of the ocean. Dr. Aronnax is actually pretty thrilled about this part. So, what do you think? Will life on Nautilus be a dream come true or a nightmare for Dr. Aronnax, Conseil, and Ned? And what's up with Captain Nemo and his mysterious submarine? Let's keep going and find out. After that, Captain Nemo offers Dr. Aronnax a tour of the Nautilus. Aronnax jumps at the chance. The ship's like a floating museum. It's got a library full of books, including some of Aronnax's own work, amazing artworks, and a collection of sea plants and animals that just blows Aronnax away. Nemo tells him that almost everything on the submarine runs on electricity, made from stuff they get right out of the sea. The food on board is all from the sea. They eat turtle instead of beef, sea cucumber instead of fruit. Nemo even has his own special ocean-sourced cigars. Now, the Nautilus itself is something else. It has got an electric clock, a huge light beam for seeing underwater, and windows that can take a lot of pressure so they can dive really deep. There's even a small boat tucked inside it, which only pops out when they're above water. Nemo built this amazing machine to get away from the rest of the world. So, what's life like underwater? Well, as they travel the Pacific Ocean, every day brings something new and incredible. One day, Nemo takes Aronnax, Conseil, and Ned on an underwater hunting trip. They've got diving suits, underwater guns, and oxygen tanks that last 10 hours. They go to the underwater forest near Crespo Island, and the sights are just mind-blowing. The hunting part? Not so successful. Except for Nemo, who catches a sea otter. But things get a bit hairy when they have to hide from some sharks before making it back to the Nautilus. As they keep going, first towards Hawaii and then the Marquesas Islands, they end up at Vanikoro, an island known for wrecking ships. Nemo tells Aronnax he'd like to end his days at the bottom of the ocean. So, will this underwater adventure bring more wonder or dangers? And what's Captain Nemo's deal with wanting to stay away from the New World? After that adventure, the Nautilus faces a new challenge. They're crossing the Torres Straits, which are really tricky waters. Even with Captain Nemo at the helm, the sub hits some coral reefs and gets stuck near a tropical island. They have to wait for high tide to get free. Surprisingly, Nemo lets them take the small boat to the island. Nemo's super excited about hunting on land and getting some meat after all that seafood. They manage to hunt some birds, a forest pig, and a few kangaroos. But things take a turn when the native people suddenly attack them. The trio has to rush back to the Nautilus. The next day, they find the submarine surrounded by natives, trying to get in. But the Nautilus is locked up tight, and Dr. Aronnax is worried about what will happen when they need to open up for fresh air. But Nemo doesn't seem bothered at all. The next day, they find out why. Nemo has electrified the outside of the ship. The attackers get a shock and back off, and just in time, the tide lifts the Nautilus, and they're free again. Now, let's talk about Captain Nemo's big secret. One day, Nemo suddenly asks Aronnax and the others to go back to their first room and locks them in. Later, Nemo asks for Aronnax's help with a crew member who's badly injured, but there's nothing Aronnax can do, and the man dies. Soon after, Nemo takes Aronnax on another underwater trip. They go to this beautiful underwater place, and Nemo's men start digging. It's actually an underwater graveyard where they bury the crew member. So, will the crew of the Nautilus face more dangers? And what other secrets does Captain Nemo have? So, what's next for the Nautilus? They find themselves in the Red Sea, heading towards what seems like a dead end. But Captain Nemo knows a secret underwater tunnel that takes them from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean. As they sail near the Greek Isles, Aronnax sees something odd. A diver appears at the window, and Nemo sends a box of gold bars to land. Their journey takes them to Vigo Bay, where Aronnax learns about Nemo's wealth. The submarine is full of treasures from shipwrecks: gold, silver, coins, jewelry. Nemo uses this treasure to help people who are oppressed around the world. Nemo has another excursion planned, a nighttime walk to an underwater mountain. When they reach the top, they see the lost city of Atlantis with its ancient temples and buildings. It's an incredible sight. The Nautilus continues to its dock in an extinct volcano where they mine coal for electricity. Ned is still thinking about escaping, but there's no chance yet. They head south, aiming for the South Pole. Nemo wants to be the first to reach it. They travel under the ice packs and finally emerge at the pole. But trouble strikes on their way back. An iceberg collapses on the Nautilus, trapping them. Oxygen is running out, and they're all desperately trying to dig their way out. In the nick of time, they escape. Their journey isn't over. Around Cape Horn, heading to the Amazon, they're followed by a giant squid. Suddenly, they're surrounded by a swarm of these creatures. The Nautilus stops when a squid gets caught in the propeller. Nemo decides to fight them off with axes and harpoons. But when they open the hatch, a squid rips off the door and grabs a crew member, pulling him out. Despite their efforts, they lose the man. Nemo nearly gets killed too, but Ned saves him. Will they ever find their way back to the world they left behind? Let's see. So, after that intense squid attack, the Nautilus keeps heading north. They get close to North Carolina, and Ned's feeling super homesick. He begs Dr. Aronnax to talk to Captain Nemo about letting them go, but Nemo's answer? A big no. Ned's not giving up though. He plans another escape. They pick a night to make a break for it, but wouldn't you know it? A massive storm hits, ruining their plans. Now, they're off across the Atlantic, heading towards England. Captain Nemo, who's been out of sight for weeks, suddenly shows up on decks. He's busy making all these calculations and finally says he's found what he's been looking for. They dive and find this old battleship wreck, the Marseillaise. Turns out, its crew chose to sink with the ship rather than surrender in a battle against the British. But there's more trouble brewing. When they resurface, a warship starts attacking them. Dr. Aronnax, Conseil, and Ned realize the world must know about the Nautilus now. Nemo sends everyone below and starts dodging the warship's attacks. The three prisoners think about escaping to the battleship, but before they can do anything, the Nautilus rams it, causing it to sink. The Nautilus then heads north to the Arctic, lands in sight, and our trio gets ready to escape. Aronnax, who was once fascinated by the underwater world, now just wants to get out. He tiptoes past Nemo, who's playing the organ, and they all sneak into the dinghy. But just as they're about to leave, the Nautilus gets caught in a giant whirlpool off the coast of Norway. Everything's spinning, and Aronnax gets knocked out. Somehow, they all survive. Aronnax wakes up in a fisherman's hut on the Lofoten Isles, with Ned and Conseil. He has no idea how they escaped that whirlpool. They are rescued and taken to Norway, but they never find out if the submarine and its strange captain survived the Maelstrom. So, that's the end of their wild ride on the Nautilus. What a journey, right? We hope you have enjoyed this novel. Feel free to share your views in the comment section below. We will be back with another book soon. Till then, best of luck.